Good morning, welcome back to New Day right here on TV3. And we're talking about the possibility of counselling, especially student counselling after the campus, after you leave the campus. I just said earlier on, I don't know how effective currently our student counsellors in our universities are being, but to help me discuss that, we have Mr. Alex Wefi, who's the head of career...
Assistant counsellor.
Oh, okay, assistant counsellor.
Registrar.
Okay, of Career Guidance and Placement Center at the University of Ghana, Lagos. Good morning.
Good morning, Amma.
Okay, so I just said this to you earlier. I'm like, hey, do we even have counselors in our universities? I know it's kind of harsh, but the reality of it is when you talk to most young people who have finished school, the majority of them, they don't have jobs. A lot of them sit home for a couple of years before they'll find something to do. Some of them have to maybe find their own way. So I'm just going to kind of take it back. How effective do you think the counselling systems in our universities are whilst you're there? You know, not when you leave, but whilst you're there.
I think that it depends on how you utilize the services at the university. Most people don't know that there's a counseling center at the University of Ghana.
Wow, look.
And I think that's because perhaps they didn't go for orientation when they came for the first year, or some people think of counseling as a institute where you have something
wrong with you,
with your head. But I don't think that is counseling. There are a lot of activities we do at the counseling center, and you know the center's name is Counselling and Placement Center. So it's not only about counseling in terms of your challenges, but placement aspect, and you do a lot of training for students in placement.
Okay, the first time I had a work placement, I was 15. My school that I went to is mandatory for, I think, every 15-year-old. You take a few months where you do a 1 week placement at a work experience, and everybody looks forward to it. You do it before you even leave secondary school. So the work orientation for me began really early. I was even working part-time from the age of 15 as well. My part-time job, this was where I grew up in the UK. However, I find in Ghana most young people don't work unless for whatever reason their parents are not, maybe they're poor or whatever, and they send them out to sell. But I'm just talking about work experience. Most young people don't have it. So generally, do you feel like the counselling and the work placement unit, is it effective enough? Because most people wait till they finish uni. We were talking about earlier on, people per baby manager or real school put him somewhere for a job. So do you feel like the counselling segment is effective enough?
Well, let me say that you need effectiveness. I'll take it as developmental. It's the counseling center was set up in the 70s, particularly because they wanted to set up a liaison between employers and the university. That time we didn't have the national service. Yes. So workers came to the university just to take students. After when we introduced the national service, students had about a whole year to look for work. And so the placement aspect seemed to have gone down. So what people were doing was that they were coming for letters to go and look for their own work. Initially, companies were bringing vacancies to campus so that we could sort of liaise people with the companies. But somehow or other, that also stopped. So now we are trying to revitalize companies coming to campus. One of the ways we are trying to do is to have what we call a career development program for students. But this career development program has been going for several years, and let me say that those who go through the career development program for the past 10 years that I've been at the counseling center, there was only last year that somebody came and told me that he didn't have a job after 2 years of national service. So if students go through the career development program, it gives them some sort of edge over those who didn't go through the career development program. It sort of motivates them and encourages them and shows them the way to look for work. Like basically, people don't get work because they don't have the experience. Sometimes they don't have the skill. They think they don't have the skills, and sometimes they think they don't even have the know-how. But the issue about the career development is to make sure that you identify your values, your abilities, your personality, and your interests, so that when you know where you have to fit, you can go into that. And many people who have gone through the career development program has fared very well. The other thing I want to say is that now that you want companies to come, we want those who go through the career development program. We've groomed them in such a way that we can give them internship with companies, and that serves as a form of experience even when they leave school.
Okay, on that note, you're talking about companies, because I remember I've been to a few career fairs. I mean, where growing up, career fairs is something that every year they always have loads. Where you go as a student, the banks are there, the fire service, the police, and they're really there, and it's integrated and it's part of it. How you guys work right now? You say you're now looking for companies to come on board. Why aren't they even involved to begin with? Like, I'm even surprised at this point.
They've been involved for some time, but I think we want to raise awareness. I think, and as a starter, we are going to have a career fair first week in March. Yes, and we are going to involve as many companies as possible. And the issue is about entrepreneurship, your career, your choice. Over the past years, what we've been doing is that every second semester, we invite companies to come and have some sort of colloquial with students. So we tell them the requirement that students need to get into the job place, the placements there, and their career progression, so that to encourage students to get there. So we've been doing that. But I think that now that we know that the awareness
is
it has been very poor, we are trying to bring it up so I think that for every year we are going to have a career fair with the Counselling Placement Center.
Is this going to be the first main career fair, or you've been doing that?
No, we've done a few many years ago. We've done some about 4 or 5 years ago. We did some when we had a job bank. We also did one, and we are also going to have some companies, especially with School of Business. They do career fair, but not with the Counselling Placement Center. But I think that with the Counselling Placement Center, is taking up the mantle of organizing career fairs so that companies can come and identify the student that they want to study there to work with, and the student also know the companies and the skills that are required to work in those companies. So instead of bridging the gap between employee labor needs and then the supply of university graduates.
Okay, I mean, as we often hear, and national service aside, which most people, once they finish, most of them are out of whichever organization or company, but most of the time you hear university graduates saying that, of course, not one of those who've been through your doors, but they can't get jobs. You hear it all the time. However, a lot of them are budding entrepreneurs, but in order for them to start their own companies, there's obviously usually that financial hurdle they need to cross, and generally most banks are not going to give a loan to a young person, a graduate who has no assets. Does your organization also cater to graduates and students or so forth who want to be entrepreneurs, who want to maybe talk to organizations that are willing to fund or to give them a leg up in trying to start their own businesses?
I think that we get it all wrong when we say that entrepreneurship needs to start with funding. I think that it starts with your ideas in your head, and I think that what people need is to get ideas, and if you're able to sell your idea, for example,
I'm talking about once you have the idea, but you still need some kind of financial push, because ideas, we all have ideas, but it needs to be utilized, it needs to be developed, and then you need to make it happen.
Let me give an example of my personal life. When I finished my MPhil at Kivas, I didn't have a job, and I realized that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship. I realized I didn't have the money, the money to get it. So what I did, I had a friend who was working at a place. So what I decided was, okay, I want him to mentor me. Okay, so I served as his mentee, and he sort of gave me some skills to look out for. With that, we set up a company. With us, so you see, it's not that we didn't have money at that. He didn't give me money, but I served him, and through my service to him, he sort of brought up an idea, and we set up a company. I believe that when I retire from the University of Ghana, I'll go and work with that company.
But what I meant was in terms of the careers department and the placement department, is it just for jobs, or is there do you have an arm where maybe financial institutions is also part of it to advise people who want to get into business, whether it's to give them financial advice or to send them on the direction of, okay, fine, this is how you're going to develop your 5-year plan, your 1-year plan, develop your business, this is how you can gain startup capital. And startup capital can sometimes be, we've had people on the show where they say they began their business with 10 Ghana. But usually most businesses, even with the ideas, you're going to need some kind of financial know-how or to get it up. That's like, I want to know if that involvement is already in place.
Let me say that as part of our career development program, we treat entrepreneurship, and sometimes we bring entrepreneurs to talk to students on entrepreneurship and how they can start their business. And because we realize the need for entrepreneurship, that's the reason why for our theme for this career week is entrepreneurship, your career, your choice. So we believe that you are bringing the cream of entrepreneurs to talk to students and give them ideas as to how they can make. Because I think that we have a lot of ideas, but people need to channel them to the right course. So people need to meet the right people to give them a sense of direction. People need to be mentored so that they can know exactly what to do. So that's the issue why we realize entrepreneurship is very critical to the student population. In fact, some years ago, I think as part of the university course, there was a course in entrepreneurship for all students at the university. Some of that, I think, is fizzled because for some reason. So, but entrepreneurship is quite critical to the students' development. So that's why for our program this year, we are looking at entrepreneurship, your career, your choice. And we are bringing the cream of entrepreneurs and companies to talk to students and to advise them, to counsel them, so that if they want to get into entrepreneurship, then they can
that
get
option
this.
is there. It's happening in March, or is it going to be at the University of Ghana?
At the University of Ghana. We are having the first day, we are having this, I think, the first week in March.
How long is the program for?
It's for 1 week.
Nice.
And what's going to happen is the first day we are going to have academia and industry having the program. The second day we are having entrepreneurs coming to talk. The third day also have entrepreneurs. The fourth day we are having counselors from other schools to come and have a discussion with us. The fifth day, that's a Friday, we're having a career fair at the business school, and we are inviting as many companies. We haven't been able to finish naming the company. We have a lot of companies, and then we're also extending it to Saturday, where we're going to have financial institutions coming on Saturday to talk to students. I think that's something that we should all be happy about.
Okay, for this career fair, is it open to all students at whatever level?
Yeah, for all students, all level, from the university, all students at every level. But one of the things we're also going to do is we're going to have some kind of aptitude test. Because you know that a lot of companies are going to come.
Yeah.
And for the rush is that they might not be able to take on everybody. So that's why I have a sort of screening where you go through it, you pay about 2 Ghana cedis for aptitude test, and then you go with the aptitude test and your results, you go to the company, and then you're able to find out whatever you want to do from the company.
Are you hoping, in particular to the companies who were there, are you hoping that by the end of the fair they would have, hired or at least invited some of the students to get them into employment?
Certainly. I mean, that's our the main focus, to introduce the companies to them, the companies to know the cream of students we have, and then based on their interaction with them, they will employ some of them.
Okay. Also, for students who maybe, a lot of times people finish university, so forth, get their first job, and 6 months down the line they find out, I thought I wanted to be in the bank, but I hate it. Maybe I'm more suited to get into, the creative arts, something. Is there usually those options for people if they find that I'm not in a career that I'm not enjoying? Is that something that you're gonna you guys deal with?
I think that's something we deal with. There are certain factors you take into consideration when you are choosing a career. There are many factors, but basically you talk about your values, your interests, your abilities, and your personality. So one of the things we help students identify, to know their values. What is it that's important to them in life? I mean, for somebody it's a level of importance. You want to feel big. I mean, I remember many years ago I had a colloquium with security service. One of the senior people said, one thing I like about the security service, that's a senior officer, they'll be opening doors for him and they'll be saluting him. I mean, that is something
what he values.
He values, yes. He goes there, he's happy about it. I mean, somebody also wants, I went sometime when the career development program, we realized that most of the ladies wanted to work in a particular bank, so I wanted to find out what was, and it's the way they dress and things like that. That's what they want, isn't it? But some people also, their abilities, what they can do. Some people are very good at various things with their hands, with verbal abilities and mechanical abilities. So you're able to identify all these things before you get into the workplace. Now, if you're able to know this, then it's it's rare for you to get into a place you might not be able to function. But on the other hand, there's no, if somebody says the price of food doesn't change his mind, of course. So if you go to a place and you're not comfortable with, I think that the next thing is to try to get out. And to look for another place. But it's best that you go through a certain kind of assessment to know your personality, your abilities, and then your interests. And that will help you identify the areas that you might want to get into.
Okay, so for any students who are in Legon or anywhere else and they're not aware there is a careers counselor, how can they find you? Because we're talking about the fact that most students are not even aware.
I think that now we are going to be very visible. We are going to be very visible. The counseling placement center is down Commonwealth. A lot of Commonwealth, I think everybody knows Commonwealth, isn't it? So down Commonwealth and yes, just close to sociology. That's where you can find us. We have a lot of counseling. It's a comprehensive counseling service. We have a psychometrician who does assessment. We have clinical psychologists who come there, and we have psychiatrists who come there. We have career counselors like myself who work on, and my director is also a career counselor. So we have we are supposed to deal with everything to make the student comfortable and to go out of school and get a job.
Okay, lastly, what I'll ask you is, you mentioned that a few years back they did the job fairs and so forth, and that subsided and nothing has happened. So now that you're revitalizing, you're revamping with this new 1-week career fair, which is happening in March, is this something that's going to continue 2 years down the line?
No, I promise you that's going to be sustainable.
We like to take promises. We take it very serious on New Day.
Yeah, we assess. I believe that. One of the things, the initiative of my director is to sort of institutionalize this program so that we bring companies and the university together. Actually, I can assure you that is something. And if you give us a platform, we always talk about it.
We'll welcome you, because I'm sure you talk to students. A lot of them, they don't find the work after they leave school, and it's pretty much an epidemic in this country.
Let me say this: you don't find there are basic things that go into looking for work. If you look at it,
but they'll tell you they've tried. They'll tell you I've been everywhere and they've tried. When you're a young person and there's a lot of frustration that comes with it. And I'm just glad that your center is there. But the fact too that they haven't been aware of it too is also problematic.
I think that they're going to be aware.
I'm glad. Thank you so much for coming on. And anytime, please, we will be more than happy, because I feel like just obviously connecting graduates with companies and having a place where they can look and be focused to get their careers going. It's amazing. So I think wonderful initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is Mr. Alex Ubefi. Talking about counseling, career counseling, not just the other kind of counseling. So if you're a student, make sure you get to your nearest student counselor. And also, yes, on first week of March, you said the 1-week careers counseling and placement fair will be happening at the University of Ghana. Of course, we have more coming up right here on New Day. Don't go anywhere.